yeah, there we are. Good evening. I think that's good. I think that's good. Well, good evening. Good evening. Good evening, everybody. Happy, what is it? Happy Merry Christmas and all that good stuff. I'm still in school brain mode because I was like, oh, I'm putting on Christmas music, and no one said anything. But then I was like, oh, it's Christmas music, and happy Kwanzaa and happy Hanukkah and happy whatever you don't believe. I'm praying for you. And the kids were like, you're so funny. All right. So good evening, everybody. I hope that you had an absolutely wonderful, fantabulous, fantastic um day. I'm trying to let's see, what are we doing here? I'm trying my lighting. It seems to be off, but you know, we're if you guys can see me and hear me, then we're good to go. All right. This is my way. All right. Let's see. I had a couple of announcements. So my Mount Pleasant family, let me get the announcements out of the way now so we can close in prayer and then keep it moving. We remember this Sunday is Youth Sunday. Excuse me. And so we will have our regular Youth Sunday fellowship after service. I just got a few text messages today about what was going on this weekend, so I want to go through that. And then next Sunday is when we will have our Christmas program. Remember, it's not the children's Christmas program, it's for adults as well. So if you have something you would like to do to participate in the Christmas program, you are more than welcome to do so. Okay, if you have a reading, a poem, um, excuse me, you want to sing a song, something, you are more than welcome to do so. So that's the 22nd, and you, hey, everybody is invited, guys. Come on out on the 22nd. And then on the 22nd, we are also having an ugly sweater contest and a cookie exchange. So if you have some baked cookies that you a recipe, if you would like to share your recipe, you can. So that's on the 22nd, and we'll also have light refreshments. But if you know, I think Yvonne is doing the light refreshments that day. It's probably going to be something that's not light, but light refreshments, some sandwiches or something. So come on out, guys, these next 2 weeks, of course, as we get ready for Christmas and the birth of our Lord and Savior Jesus, who is the Christ. Okay. I know sometimes we can get all busy in the rigmarole of the day, the hustle and bustle, and I want us to make sure we stay focused. So, black shirts, yes, black shirts, guys. This Sunday, black youth shirts if you have them. All right, if you don't have them, um, pastor's actually gonna wear probably the shirt and then some pink something, because it is the pink candle this week for Advent. So let me start with that. So each Tuesday this month, I wanted to go over some admin. Oh, there's my um some Advent stuff, right? So this week, thank you, Angela Black Shirt. So this week, guys, for Advent. So we've had our hope, we've had our preparation, or peace, either or. I focused on preparation this past Sunday, and now we are coming to rejoicing. This Sunday for Advent is the Sunday of rejoicing, and it is often called the Gaudete um, Sunday, and it's spelled Gaudete, and it's pronounced Gaudete this Sunday. It signifies our joy that Christmas is almost here, right? It just talks about the joy in as we approach Christmas. And one of the things that I want to point out just real quick, 'cause I really want to get to this Joshua chapter 3, um, that as we are approaching winter solace, right? The longest, darkest days of the year is a time where we really should be rejoicing. This is Godete, the rejoicing of God. And so we light these candles. This Sunday there will be three. There will be hope, there will be preparation, and then we'll light Godete, rejoicing. Um, That's rejoicing in Latin. We light a candle in the midst of the darkness, midst of the darkness of winter solstice, the longest days or darkest time with the least amount of light in our hemisphere. And how about this can be oftentimes the darkest time for many people. And this is the time where we have to light our candle. We must persevere and rejoice. This is a busy time. We have lots of stuff weighing on our minds, um, which is not new to me. But like I woke up at 2 o'clock this morning, right? Because I forgot to take the meat out that I was going to put in the crock pot in the morning. Good evening, Barbara. And so I was like, oh, I got to get up and go take that out. Well, since I got up to take that out, then I started thinking about all this other stuff that I needed to do. And then I was like, you got to get back in the bed. So I crawled back in the bed at like 4 something because there's so much on our minds at this time of the year. And Jesus says, God says, at this time, I want you to rejoice. Go to take. I want you to rejoice. Um, that I believe I want to read this um, from Khalil Gibram wrote in The Prophet. When you are joyous, he says, look deep into your hearts and you shall find it is only that which has given you sorrow that is giving you joy. When you are sorrowful, look again in your heart and you shall see that in truth you are weeping for that which has been your delight. Psalms 126 says, those who go forth weeping shall doubtless come again with rejoicing. I like that because it talks about, right? If you're rejoicing over somebody's healing, that means somebody was sick. If you're rejoicing over somebody's deliverance, that means somebody was bound. If you're rejoicing about being elevated, that means you were down, right? Rejoicing comes after a period or a time of darkness, a time of sorrow, a time of entanglements, a time of hurts and pains. If you are rejoicing, it's probably because you have experienced one of those other things. Go to take. So I want you guys to rejoice. When we lose one we love, we mourn their loss as we celebrate their life. Please, during this season, let's celebrate the life. This is a really difficult season for people who have lost loved ones. And I want us to really be focused on lifting them up during this time. Don't be contrite. Be serious. Be real. All right. All right, guys. Good evening, everybody. It's so good to see you guys. Good evening, Michiko, and Deacon Smith is on here, and I see Angela, and so many of you guys are on here, and I can't see you. So welcome, 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 everybody. Welcome, 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 welcome. Oh, Stephanie, your message today was so on point. Guys, sometimes we just got to take it one step at a time. Good evening, Barbara. I hope Lynn is listening in the background as well. All right, guys, let's get to these slides for today. I am so excited about today, guys. All right, so here's what I'm going to do. I am going to read the entire third chapter of Joshua. I am telling you now, I don't know how far we are going to get. I am going to do my absolute best not to preach because it is Teaching Tuesday. I am going to do my absolute best to stick to my notes, which I have so much stuff written down and highlighted. Guys, I'm going to do my best. But if I get a little preachy tonight, I'm going to beg your belly back, as my dad says, and never know what that means. But I'm going to beg your belly back and you guys are just going we just gonna have a good time tonight. Let's go. Joshua, the third chapter. Early the next morning, Joshua and all the Israelites, you know what? Let me go back. Sorry. Let me do this. Okay, so where are we in the story? I left there's a gap from where I left you guys last week. So let me close that gap. So Rahab has lied to the king and she has hidden the spies and they are up on the rooftop and and we spent a lot of time last week talking about Rahab. Okay, so now the men have left and she has gone to the rooftop and she has said, "All right, guys, go ahead and leave. All right. And when you leave, go hide in the mountains for 3 days, and then your pursuers are gonna look for you for 3 days, and then they're gonna come back, all right? After they stop looking for you for 3 days, then you can go ahead and return to your camp." In that conversation, they tell her to put the red yarn or string or rope or something. I like to think of it as a rope or something because a little string, that might get lost. I think I would have did a rope. All right, put that outside your door. But they also tell her that you, your household, will be saved. Everyone who is in your house will be saved. Those who decide to leave your house and go out on the street, they're not going to be saved. Okay. Not only will they be saved, but you cannot tell anyone about this. So the spies leave, they return to Joshua, son of Nun, and they tell him everything that happened. And that is where we are now in chapter 3. All right. I needed to close that gap. All right. So then early the next morning, so this is after the spies have returned and told Joshua everything. All right. And all the Israelites left Acacia Grove and arrived at the banks of the Jordan River, where they encamped before crossing. 3 days later, the Israelite officers went through the camp, giving these instructions to the people. When you see the Levitical priests carrying the Ark of the Covenant of the Lord your God, move out from your position and follow them. Since you have never traveled this way before, they will guide you. Stay about half a mile behind them, keeping a clear distance between you and the ark. Make sure you don't come any closer. Then Joshua told the people, "Purify yourselves, for tomorrow the Lord will do great wonders among you." In the morning, Joshua said to the priests, "Lift up the ark of the covenant and lead the people across the river." And so they started out and went ahead of the people. The Lord told Joshua, "Today I will begin to make you a great leader in the eyes of all the Israelites. They will know that I am with you, just as I was with Moses. Give this command to the priests who carry the Ark of the Covenant. When you reach the bank of the Jordan River, take a few steps into the river and stop there." Mm. So Joshua told the Israelites, "Come and listen to what the Lord your God says. Today you will know that the living God is among you. He will surely drive out the Canaanites, Hittites, Hivites, Perizzites, Girgashites, Amorites, and Jebusites ahead of you. Look, the ark of the covenant, which belongs to the Lord of the whole earth, will lead you across the Jordan River. Now choose 12 men from the tribes of Israel, one from each tribe. The priests will carry the ark of the Lord of all the earth. As soon as their feet touch the water, the flow of water will be cut off upstream. The river will stand like a wall." So the people left their camp to cross the Jordan, and the priests who were carrying the Ark of the Covenant went ahead of them. It was the harvest season, and the Jordan was overflowing its banks. But as soon as the feet of the priests who were carrying the ark touched the water at the river's edge, the water above that point began backing up a great distance away at a town called Adam, which is near Zarethan. And the water below that point flowed onto the Dead Sea until the riverbed was dry. Then all the people crossed over near the town of Jericho. Meanwhile, the priests who were carrying the Ark of the Lord's covenant stood on dry ground in the middle of the riverbed as the people passed by. They waited there until the whole nation of Israel had crossed on dry ground. Woo! Like Ric Flair. Woo! All right. So let me tell you, I had to read that entire chapter tonight because it may be surprising to some people the number of people who do not realize this story is in the Bible. We tend to jump from the spies to the fall of Jericho, and we forget the process that the children of Israel had to go through. Most people also only think that the Red Sea was parted. Very few people read this story about the River Jordan. And I'm going to say the Red Sea, but because it's Teaching Tuesday, it was more than likely the River of Leeds or Reeds or the Sea of Reeds. We call it the Red Sea. All right. So I really wanted to read that story in its entirety so that we could understand it in its entirety. All right. So, I'm gonna start that story. If you're just hearing it for the first time, or if you've heard it many, many times before, that story is just so good. There's so much meat in this story that I'm gonna try not to unpack it all because I might want to preach it one day. I have to say I have never preached this story and it's so rich in just so many ways. Okay. So number 1, Joshua rose early in the morning. Okay? We are studying the book of Joshua. We need to start looking at Joshua the man, right? We looked at him in the first chapter, and then the second chapter we studied Rahab, right? We didn't even talk about Joshua other than him sending the spies. So we need to understand the character of Joshua. He has a whole book named after him, right? So and there isn't even a book called David. Ah, whole nother discussion. I told you guys I'm going to do my best to stay focused. Okay, so he rose early in the morning. It's a small point, but it gives us a glimpse into Joshua's character. Joshua was a doer. Joshua was a doer. Joshua was a worker. He took initiative. He didn't procrastinate. He was diligent in his work. We also saw this in chapter 1. Remember when he immediately obeyed God by telling the people they had 3 days to prepare to cross the Jordan, right? Okay, before let me go there. Okay, so he tells them you have 3 days to prepare to cross the river Jordan, and I'm gonna bring this up again, but I have to bring it up here because I don't want anybody on Teaching Tuesday to be confused. He tells them in chapter 1, you got 3 days to prepare to cross the river Jordan. Okay, then the spies go, and then they have to wait 3 days into the mountains. Okay, then they get back to Joshua. Joshua immediately the next morning tells the people that they have to move. Notice the first time he told them they had to cross the River Jordan, they didn't cross the River Jordan right then. They got close, but they still hadn't crossed yet. I'm going to come back to that. All right. Here's the point, guys. If you have a job to do you wait until the last minute or do you finish it as soon as possible? Now, some of you are going to say, "Oh, I do it right away." And some people, are do it right away type people. And some people like to procrastinate. Are you, good evening, Mary? Um, are you like Joshua? Get up. Let's get it done. You know you have to do it, right? You know it's something that needs to be done anyway. Get up and get it done, or do you procrastinate? Don't answer. You don't have to put your comments on here. I know if we were remember when it was like 10 of us that and we were on Zoom. And we could talk and answer the questions. Um we need to be people, especially when it comes to things of God, that we don't procrastinate. We get up and we immediately do what God tells us to do. And oftentimes, so in Sunday school, Deacon Imani asked a question: if God told you to go to Hades, would you go? And I'm not gonna say who was sitting next to me, but the person sitting next to me was like, "Yeah, yeah, I'd go." Everybody was being really holy. And I said, I'd have to make sure it was God. Then everybody was like, "Yeah, I'd have to make sure, right?" I wouldn't procrastinate. But I'd sure make sure you want me to go to hell? What? We gotta talk about that. All right, make sure I'll be Gideon quick. Please, please again. Maybe a third time. All right. So don't procrastinate with things of God. When God tells you to do something and you know the voice of God, He says, "My sheep know my voice and they come running unto me." They don't just hear, we like to stop it. My sheep hear my voice. They don't just hear, they then go running to Him. All right. I'm watching my time. So, make sure you aren't procrastinating when God tells you to do something. I don't know why I have to keep saying that. This is not the point where I thought I was going to get stuck. All right. So make sure, Michi, make sure you don't procrastinate with things of God. All right. And then he tells the people, okay, the people set out before they knew how they would get to where they're going. This is when I told you I got ahead of myself. In Joshua 1:11, the people were told to cross the Jordan River. In Joshua 3:1, the people set off to go to the Jordan and then end up camping right next to the Jordan. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Let me stop right here. So he tells them you're going to cross the river Jordan. They leave, they get to the river Jordan, and they're encamped right next to the thing that God told them they were going to cross over. Can I say that again? They travel 2,000,000 people, estimated 2,000,000 people have traveled to the place that God apparently, supposedly told them they was going to cross over, but they haven't crossed over yet. Right now, they are encamped right at the place. This isn't where I thought I'd get stuck either. They are encamped right at the place that God told them they would eventually cross over. I'm trying not to stay here, but I need somebody to get this. You are at the place. You are right there at the edge of the place that God told you you're going to cross over. You haven't crossed over. You are right there on the cusp. Spiritually, somebody is right there on the cusp, and you've encamped right there. And God told you, I don't want you encamped here. I need you to cross over. I told you you were going to cross over, and you've gotten as far as close to your blessing, close to your promised land. You have not crossed over. And so I'm sure the children of Israel had these questions, right? I'm sure that they were, uh, we're here. Where are they going to cross? How are they going to cross? Right? I'm here, God. You said we're gonna cross over. And I love this, right? I hope you guys did you guys notice I'm gonna have to go back because I gotta go back because I have to go back because um where is okay, it's verse nope. They're carrying it. And then the people are gonna see the Levites. And they're gonna go around them. And then they're carrying it, and they're gonna cross the river Jordan. Then they're gonna lead to Jizbite, the Hivites. All them people. Uh-huh. It's verse. Oh, yep. Okay. So, oh, you guys can't see this. I am so sorry. I'm just talking. You can't see it. Okay. It is verse 14, 15, 15. It was the harvest season, and the Jordan was overflowing its banks. I need you guys to see that, okay? So not only did God tell them that they're going to cross over the river Jordan, he doesn't make it during the drought. He doesn't make it during low tide. He tells them, "You are going to cross over the river Jordan, and you're going to cross over at the time where its banks are fully bursting. I need you guys to get these little nuances because they are important in the story. I'm gonna tell you to cross, I'm not even gonna. I hadn't even planned to get to verse 15 tonight. I'm hoping to get to 3. Um, but that's where I'm gonna have you cross. So that's where the children of Israel are right now. They are encamped at an overflowing riverbank, a few miles away from the riverbank. They are encamped few miles from an overflowing riverbank. Okay, I'm gonna move on. I'm gonna move on, but I gotta say this. We just went through Milton and some stuff overflowed that had never overflowed before. That's the picture I want you to have. Some ponds and some I forget what they're called. Um, some little areas where there's water. They're not a pond. I forget what they're called. Okay, but those areas who had never overflowed before, those overflowed. I'm thinking, Michiko, of the picture you took of that little area right behind your house, right? That's where they're camped. They're camped next to an overflowing river. And I'm gonna talk about that again because I'm still in verse 1. It seems, guys, that they didn't know the answer to these questions, but they obeyed step by step. They didn't know how they were going to get over. They didn't know where they were supposed to cross. They didn't know any of that, but they chose to obey step by step. So, I got to throw this in there, right? Psalms 37:23 and 24. The steps of a good man are ordered by the Lord. Though he falls, he will not be destroyed, for the Lord will be there to pick him up. Okay, remember, let me put this down. Remember what I said um, um, about, no, okay, I'm not gonna say that. Okay, so the steps of a good man are ordered by God. I'm still, you get that King James memorized, and you just can't get away from it, right? The steps of a good man are ordered by God or by the Lord. Oh, there you go. The joy and pain of Advent, right? It's the same thing with this. In order for God to lift you up, you have to fall. It's the same thing in Psalms 37. So that's what the children of Israel were doing. They were following God's commands step by step. I'm going somewhere. Let me get this up. Although they didn't know how they would finish doing what God told them to do, listen, they did know how they could start. Oh. They didn't know how the journey would end, but they knew the beginning. I gotta read that again. I should have had that on a slide all by itself. Although they didn't know how they would finish doing what God had told them to do, they did know how they could start. This is so good, guys. They didn't know the end of the journey, but they knew the beginning of the journey. Are you guys getting that this evening? I hope you're getting that. They didn't know how it would end, but they knew how to start. They didn't know how the journey would come to an end, but they knew how to take the first step. They did not know, you know, they were going step by step by step, step by step. Here's the problem with some of us. And this is, I'm going to read what I'm trying to stick to my notes. Here's what I wrote down. This is major in the church today because too many people are waiting to know the end before they begin. Too many people in the church are waiting to see the promise, and so they're not even moving toward the destination. that God tells them to go in because they don't know the end. You don't have to know the end. You just got to know how to begin. You just got to know how to start. With God, I'm not going to know the end. I know that's not what you guys are being preached now. I know the prophets and the apostles and the bishops and the prophetess and what else is out there? The overseers, I know they're out there saying, "No, we know the end. We can have the end." Listen, and if you upset tonight, oh well, because that's not real faith. I'm sick of that. That is not real faith. Real faith is not believing God will do just what he said he would do, right? We sing that song, God will do what he said he would do, right? No, real faith is believing God when he didn't tell you exactly what he would do. That's real faith. Real faith is believing that God will do when he ain't said nothing to you. Listen. Real faith is believing what God had already said, even if he ain't said it to you. Real faith is believing God in the silence of God. Real faith is sitting in your prayer closet, praying to God, hearing nothing, but knowing he's going to do what he ain't even told you he's going to do. Real faith is believing God when God says nothing. That's real faith. It is real faith is not believing just what the whole story. God got to give you the whole story, the beginning, the middle, the end, each step, what color, the date and time that your blessing is going to come. And you say, "Oh, I'm walking by faith because God told me this, that, and the other." Then no, you are not walking by faith. You're not. That's not real faith. Real faith. God, you told me to come to this river and it's overflowing. And you told me I'm going to cross over. That's real faith, church. And we have gotten so spoiled in all, you know, the promises of God. And I heard one preacher say, well, we're little gods, and so we can demand of God, to do what he said he was gonna do. Fool, I'm not demanding of God anything. I'm not a little God. I'm a sinner saved by grace. I'm just falling down and getting back up. Just trying to do the best I can each day. Remember, we love to talk about Abraham, but remember, guys, um, God told Abraham, right? Go to the land and I'll show you. He didn't know where he was going. The first step was to leave. God would show him the rest is he needed to go. Yeah, he showed him, I'm gonna give you the sands of your ancestors will be named as the sands of the sea and the stars in the sky. And he ain't even had no kids by then. That's if you want to talk about the faith. The same thing goes for us, guys. The obedience is the same for us. Our job is to obey what God has shown us we should do today and not worry about the future. Now, I put this first one on here. Um, Sometimes God will lead you to quit your job because your job is distracting you from following Him. But let me put this caveat on there. Do not quit your job if God didn't tell you to do that. Do not quit your job. Talking about, oh, they got me working on Sundays and I need to be in church. Baby, go to church on Saturday, catch it online, do whatever you need to do. But if you don't have another job lined up that you don't have to work on Sunday that is paying you the same thing or more than what you was getting before, don't you quit your job and not be able to pay your bills? Okay. I had to get that out there. Okay, but that might be for somebody, all right? He might not show us right away what he has next for us. Sometimes God will lead us to say no to a relationship. He may not show you right away what he has for you next. We need to have faith that God has a good plan for us and will not let us get stuck, just as he did not lead the Israelites to get stuck in front of the Jordan. Just picture it, guys. I wish I had like a picture um that I could show you guys of 2,000,000 people, an estimated 2,000,000 people are encamped a couple of miles away from an overflowing river, overflowing this bank. Consider the mighty Mississippi and its banks overflowing. Imagine that, right? And so we have these people, that are right there. They're right there. Oh, okay. This is where I thought I was gonna get stuck, but I had already been stuck 2, 3, 4 times. All right. Verse 2 and verse 3. This is as far as I want to go. So I'm getting there. I'm getting there. I'm good. I'm good. Okay. The first thing. Now let's talk about some leadership here. Let's talk about some leadership here. Joshua 3, 2 and 3 says, 3 days later, the Israelite officers went through the camp, giving these instructions to the people. All right, that's where I want us to focus right now. 2 and 3a. 3 days later, the Israelite officers went through the camp, giving these instructions to the people. Okay, they gave the instructions to the people. Here's what I want you guys to notice. Um, the officers went through the midst of the camp. Joshua was the leader, but he didn't do everything. Can we talk about that? It says that he sent the officers through the camp, which means Joshua communicated to the officers what needed to be communicated to the people, and they went through the camp. And many commentaries, if you remember the story of Moses, right? His father Jethro was like, "Look, Moses, don't let these people kill you. You need some deacons and some people to help you take care of every little problem. Moses, don't let these people kill you." And so Joshua, who sat under the tutelage and the mentorship of Moses, he probably learned, all right, yeah, I need to elect some officers, right? And so he got his officers. So I want you so that he didn't get burnout. Because many times as a leader, we will get burnout when we try to do everything on our own. And yes, hot, I am kettle. But I'm getting better. And the 2025 is gonna be even better. Because one of the things that okay, let me say this. Let me say this. One of the things that we in our community really have an issue with is not so much allowing people to help or whatever. It's just this mentality of for me, I don't wanna be a burden on anybody else. Other people got stuff going on too. Other people have work to do too. Other people have, other people have responsibilities. I don't want to put something on other people. It's not that I want to be the strong one and I want to. No, it's more of a concern for other people, for me. And so, but as a leader, and all of you guys in leadership positions, whether it's in your home, whether it's on your job, whether it's in your church, whether it's in your community, there are other places of leadership than behind the pulpit. Okay. Um, and if you really know, behind the pulpit is probably one of the least authoritative and leadership positions that you can actually be in. So here's what a good leader does. A good leader, one, knows how to pick people for leadership positions. Joshua picked officers that would give his message to the people the right way and tell them exactly what he said, right? A good leader knows how to pick people in leadership positions. Um, right? Perfect discussion. He knows how, right? A good leader's got to be able to pick people right? Just what God did. Now, okay, ooh, since I said that, you don't have to pick perfect people. You just have to pick good people, spiritual people. God picked, and sometimes God picked the worst of them to deliver his message. So a good leader, one, has to know how to pick people, and you've probably already seen this. And two, a good leader trains, equips, and empowers others to help them. I used to work for the government, and it amazed me the number of people, like we would move from base to base. And when you get to a new base and you start a job, the number of people in that job that didn't want to share with you the information they had, like information was job security. I'm not telling anybody how to do my job. I'm not showing it. I'm not doing it an after action report. No, you come ask me if you want to know what to do. I'm not taking your job. A good leader knows how to train, equip. What was my third one? I'm sorry. And empower people. I'm gonna use the new church secretary, not the board secretary, my secretary. Somebody has come on board to help out with the admin of the church, and I'm just so thankful. And I said to her, I'm not gonna micromanage. I'm gonna say, hey, can you here's what I want done. However you do it, I'm empowering you. However you do it, as long as it is done in a spirit of excellence and you not just throwing something together, which I know she's not gonna do anyway, right? Um, that that's the job of a good leader, and we really need to do that within the church. The church has got to be a place that empowers people, trains people, and grows people. We can't be the place that has our thumb on people, keeping people down. No, you can't use your gift. No, you can't lead a song. No, you can't stand behind the pulpit. What? The devil is a lie. Get up here. I forget who did. Somebody James Mount Pleasant was like, I'm gonna come down here. You don't get up here in this pulpit. Now I don't sit in the pulpit until I have to get up there, right? And preach. But if we have guests or something, I have them come on, let's sit in the pulpit. Um, we've just got it backwards within the church. All right. Now here's my other part. Okay. Um, three, 3B. Okay. So 3 days later, the Israelite officers are going through the camp and they're giving these instructions to the people. When you see the Levitical priest, let me make sure you guys can see that. Yeah. Okay. When you see the Levitical priest carrying the Ark of the Covenant of the Lord your God, move out from your positions and follow. When you see the Levitical priest carrying the Ark of the Covenant of the Lord your God, move out from your position and follow them. Let me get this out of the way first. Okay. Let me get this out of the way. First, this is significant because the Levitical priests weren't really the ones that carried the ark. Okay. This was usually done um, by the Kohathites, is how it's pronounced. They usually carried the ark. The Levites only did so for very special occasions. So if you see the Levitical tribe carrying the ark of the covenant, you know something is about to happen. God is about to move. Something is about to happen. Uh, so what was the key role for the Israelites? It was to follow. He simply wanted them to follow the priest and the ark. Don't worry, I'm coming back to that. Well, I got 10 minutes. Good. Perfect. He simply wanted them to follow the priest and the ark. Okay. Before we go any further, actually, let me go back. Let me go back. Let me go back. I want you guys to see this. I want you to see this. When you see the Levitical priest carrying the ark of the covenant of the Lord your God, Move out from your position and follow. God didn't ask them to build a bridge or make any boats. He didn't ask them to dam up the river. He didn't ask them to find a shallow spot to cross over on. He didn't ask them to do anything. All God asked them to do in order to achieve the impossible, in order to do something that had only one time been done before, in order to do the unseen, to see the unseen and to see the power of God, the only thing God asked them to do was to move and to follow. I got ahead of myself already. He simply wanted them to follow the priest and the ark. He wanted them to follow the priests who were the chosen people of God. If you cannot follow God's chosen, you cannot see the miraculous of God. Yeah, I said it. If you are unwilling to follow the man or woman of God that God has chosen to be put in a place, a position, an office, whatever you want to call it, or out on the street corner, if you are not willing to follow, then you will not see the fulfillment of the blessings of God. You will be stuck in a place that God never wanted you to stay, but because of your reluctance to follow, He said to follow the priest and to follow the ark. The ark, which is very interesting because we just talked about this in Sunday school, the ark was the presence of God. So let me say this. I'm not going to tell you to follow a man or a woman blindly, but look at the position that God had the priest in. They were carrying the ark, they were carrying the presence of God. We have got to be willing to follow leaders that are in the presence of God, that are carrying the presence of God. We need to stop following people just because they're the most charismatic, because they have the biggest ministry, because they walk around in Burberry and Prada and they got the Mercedes and the red bottom shoes. And I'm not knocking any of that. I like it too. But we cannot follow people based on that. We must follow people who have the presence of God with them. They are carrying the presence of God. He said, all I need you to do to cross the river Jordan is to follow the person of God, then in this case, the Levitical tribe of God, the priests of God, and I need you to follow the ark of the covenant. I need you to follow my presence. If you follow my presence, I will get you to the other side. If you follow my presence, I'll get you past the impossible. If you follow my presence, your feet won't get stuck, your wagons won't get stuck, your kids won't get stuck. Nothing will get stuck if you follow my presence, if you do exactly what I told you to do. And the first thing you have to do, and I'm gonna put the slide up there because I made it. Okay. Because see, this is where I knew I was gonna get a little preachy. What do you need to do what do you need to move away from to follow God? That's my last slide. What do you look at what he said. I gotta go back. I gotta go back. Y'all see the slide? Okay, I made it. I gotta go back. Ah, he says, when you see the Levitical priest carrying the Ark of the Covenant, Lord your God, move out from your position and follow them. Oh, somebody needed to hear that tonight. Somebody needed to hear that tonight. Ooh, I don't know what I just did. Hold on. It don't matter. I'm not putting it back up there. I sure ain't. It's gone. Okay, listen. You're not gonna see any more slides. I done deleted something. Listen, somebody needs to get up and move. When you see the Levitical tribe, the Levitical priest carrying the ark of the Lord your God, he says, get up and move and follow. Get up. See, if we was in church, I say, somebody say move. Somebody say move. Look at your neighbor and say move. Some of us can't get to where God wants us to be because we have not done step number one. We failed to move. And I know That sounds crazy, right? But believe it or not, there are people. Thank you, Stephanie. Thank you, Stephanie. Stephanie said, move. Move, right? There are people who claim that they are following God. Who got me? Oh, Shady. Go ahead, Shady. Move. There are people who claim that they are following God and they ain't moved from their ideas of the past. They haven't moved from their mental infancy of the past. They have not moved spiritually. They have not moved physically. They are stuck in a mindset, in a way that they think things should be, and they don't move. Talking about I'm following God. How you following God? You ain't moving. Come on, make it make sense. You can't follow and not move. Make it make sense. You cannot follow and not move. Y'all know I got a song in my head, right? Got a couple. I have Peter Pan in my head. We're following the leader, the leader, the leader, right? They're following the leader. I even got the other song. When I move, you move, just like that, right? You can't follow if you don't move. Too many people in the church fail to see the miracle of God because they don't move. I don't know where you need to move. I don't know where God is trying to lead you. There's probably an impossible obstacle in front of you. There's probably an impossible situation that you are dealing with and have to deal with. God says, I got you, but I need you to move. I need you to follow. I need you to follow. Heavenly Father, I thank you right now, God. I thank you for this time. I thank you for this word. I thank you for your anointing. I thank you for your prophetic spirit. I thank you that you care enough about us to remind us to move. I thank you that you care enough about us to remind us to follow you. And when we follow you, God, you will do the impossible. I thank you for reminding us that our faith isn't based on what's seen, but it's based on the unseen. I thank you that our faith is the substance of things hoped for and the evidence of things unseen. That's faith. And so, God, I pray for that man, that woman, that boy, that girl right now who needs to get up and move. I just really feel that in my spirit tonight, guys, that somebody needs to get up and move. And I really feel it's not even a physical location. I really feel that somebody needs to get up and move spiritually right now. And so, God, I'm asking that whatever needs to be done within them, that they get up and move. I'm asking that if whoever you need to send their way, God, if whether it's a Nathan or whether it's a Martha or a Mary, God, whoever you need to put in their path, God, whether it's a Peter, whether it's a Paul, send them, God. Send them so that they can move. Somebody needs to move, change their mindset. This mind to be in you that's also in Christ Jesus. Somebody needs to change how they see God, open spiritual eyes that we can move. And God, as always, we're going to be careful to give your name the glory and the honor and praise for who you are. And yes, for all that you have done in our lives. God, we thank you, we magnify you, and we glorify you in Jesus' name. Guys, thank you so much for joining us tonight. I hope and pray you got something out of this. Share this. Somebody you know may need to move. Share this message with somebody. Tell somebody about the goodness of the Lord. Encourage somebody to move. We don't want to be the only ones moving ourselves. We want to take some people along with us. The military says to lead, follow, or move out the way. Take somebody with you on this Christian journey. And I'm glad about it. Remember, stay in His will and do it His way. Be blessed.